Hi there, blessings. Welcome to Freedom Friday's Integration Circle, the very first Freedom Friday of this new online soul sanctuary circle. See, I'm still wrapping my head around this, y'all. And today is July 4th, which just happens to be the celebration of independence here in the United States. So, Freedom Friday, we are meeting for deeper heart, mind, body, energy, spirit integration. Welcome, beloved one. If you are catching the replay, thank you so much for being here, for joining. I trust that this transmission reaches you in the precisely divine moment that is most aligned for your soul. So let's drop in with 3 cleansing breaths. Inhale through the nose, exhale through the mouth. Continuing on this deep cleansing breath as I clear the energy field between us. Mm. Blessings and welcome. So, what are we doing here on Freedom Friday in this integration circle? So, Freedom Friday is supposed to be is a space that has been created as a very low energy session space for reflection, for intuitive development, for integrating sovereignty practices, for sharing progress, for asking for and receiving for help, for just hanging out. We don't have to do or talk about anything other than share sacred space for about 30 minutes and just connect, right? So, hmm, what is alive for me in this moment is deep tenderness. This rising, I buried the Soul Salon sign with the last bouquet that had been on the table as part of the altar for the temple. So I rolled the flowers from the altar in the temple and the flowers here on my desk. I rolled the flowers up in the sign into a little scroll and I buried it into the earth. And um, I think back to where I was last year on July 4th. And last year on July 4th, I um, hosted a fire ceremony of sovereignty reclamation, specifically from religious distortion, programming, and indoctrination. And I collected Bibles from a couple different places, and some people came over. And we all put a Bible in the fire as a representation of personal liberation and freedom. And this is a ceremony that I had done by myself almost a decade ago, very privately in my own attempt to completely sever any ties that I had to that part of my life that had created so much turmoil for me within my soul. And it took a few years to integrate that ceremony. And then I shared it with a sister, and she encouraged me to lead a public ceremony, um, offering this to others. And it took me a couple of months before I felt comfortable. hosting such kind of fire circle publicly, which I found interesting. One of the questions that came up in that space was, am I um, blaspheming? And not in the sense of burn in hell blaspheming, but in the sense of, um, am I blaspheming myself, right? Because that ceremony was a personal affair. It was never meant to be shared with anyone. But I shared that ceremony with that sister in confidence because it was what was needed in that moment to assist both of us in stepping into our next level of deeper I am presence. And she was just so moved by my experience and my courage to embrace that fear and face it and alchemize it and turn it into power, that she encouraged me to lead this public ceremony. And so it took 6 months, 5 months, excuse me. It took 5 months for this whole ritual to be completed from start to finish, including the fire. And the fire happened on July 4th of last year. And this July 4th, I have buried something. And so I'm finding myself in this deep processing around how freedom isn't actually free. Freedom demands sacrifice, whether it's through fire, water, earth, or even wind. Some kind of elemental force will come through and create disruption so that there can be liberation. And fire is an element that is comfortable and familiar with me. I was initiated into the fire circle of the Native Americans here in the US almost a decade ago. And so I create ritual fires and I tend to fires and I lead fire ceremonies now from my personal space. Um, and yet, with the Soul Salon, fire didn't call, Earth Mother called. The Soul Salon was so young, um, just barely 7 months alive. Um, there wasn't really much to offer in sacrifice. Instead, the sacrifice was a rest. And I'm reflecting on the beauty of acceptance, even the most painful things in our life, and how in the moment it might not feel like freedom, it might not feel like liberation, and yet deep down there is a knowing that it is. I have deep gratitude for being a steward of the Soul Salon for the 7 months that it was open. I have just immeasurable gratitude for the witnessing and the witnessing of the beings who came through the gates and received the various offerings, and the gift that I received to witness their transformation and evolution. All the hard work, all the tears, the pain, the uncertainty, the doubt, the I don't know if this is going to work, but it has to work. How could it not work when I'm aligned with the utmost high? And it worked and it was working, and then life. the many lives that the soul salon touched, or rather the space of the soul salon and the way I held the container within that space. I have learned so much about myself as a being, a human being, as a high priestess, as a leader, as a steward, as a student. And I know this isn't the end of what I am building. It is simply the ending of something small, albeit significant. So allowing myself to be in this tender space right now of going through the process, witnessing the process of this ending. And being in the in-between worlds where it doesn't quite feel like liberation and freedom. And yet I feel free from the struggle, the challenge, the difficulty, the strain of putting all my effort to make something work because I know its value, because I see it's important, because I feel its impact. Yet at what cost? And so the temple doors will open again. I don't know when. I don't know where. Yet what I created over the last 7 months was an opportunity for me to recognize where I am in my capacity to hold energy, my own and the unknown that comes in when I open the gates. For all my preparedness, I have no control over what comes through and what might transpire when I am holding space. When I close my eyes, I feel myself in a larger space. I have seen myself in a larger space since the awakening of this dream when I was 6 years young, shortly after my brother was born. It took me many years to understand that in the moment that this dream awakened within me, as I held this young baby in my arms as a 6-year-old, that I became a mother. I didn't understand that feeling until I became a grown woman and experienced birth and death. I became a mother at the age of 6 and I didn't know it. Becoming a mother isn't something that just happens through the giving birth of a child. It happens in the awakening of nurturing consciousness, of sacrifice being effortless for the greater whole. We all have an instinct of mothering. Yet most of us, even mothers who have given birth to children, are not tapped into what that nurturing actually means and looks like. That's a conversation for another day. In this moment, I am nurturing myself, accepting, recalibrating, and feeling the expansion that continues to happen, even if in the moment it doesn't quite look as such. So this is where I'm at. This is my reflection and sharing of where I'm at in my process and progress with the Soul Salon today, or what was of the Soul Salon. Thank you for listening and witnessing and receiving me. Would love to hear your insights and shares. Would love to hear how you process loss and sudden endings in your life. Would love to hear how liberation has presented itself for you, through you. Would love to celebrate how far you have come to be here. Yes, you might have more work to do. That's okay. Can we celebrate together how far you have come to arrive here in this now moment? I'm feeling a card from the Reiki Oracle deck. An energy transmission for your highest and best good. What is it that the collective needs most in this here now? For greater alignment, for continued alignment with your passionate purpose and highest timeline. Sealing the week. Union. Divine union within. Integrating the masculine and the energy. The masculine and the feminine energies. The light and the shadow. The seeming opposites that are actually complements. So let's breathe in. Receive that breath and feel how it enters your lungs, fills your belly, becomes one in your vessel. And then with an exhale, separates in a different form. The air we take in is not the same air we take out. We take in oxygen, we let out carbon dioxide. Something happens in the union of the breath within the body that transforms it, that alchemizes it. And this is your medicine today. Can you recognize that when you are in union with life, which is in every breath, you have created something that is beyond what you have received in yourself? That isn't you, and yet is you. Can you see within that space how we are always in union within and with the divine and life and all that is around us? There is no separation, beloved one. There is no past, present, and future. There is only the here now. And what you are choosing to put your mind into, put your heart into, put your body into, put your presence and attention into. And yes, we have big dreams and goals, just as I do with the temple, to have a big space where people can come in from all over the world and camp and rest and learn and grow and thrive. Centers all over the world. Yes, we have big dreams and visions. You might not have big global dreams like me. Your dream might be to just have a cute little home with a dog and a small family, or stay single. All of your dreams, from small to big, are so valid. They're all a part of you, and they're all worthy of looking at and exploring and inviting curiosity and taking aligned action towards. And if you fail, if it becomes a loss, just as this recent loss for me, there's still so much beauty that can be found. So much beauty that can be found in accepting what has been broken and seeing that the broken pieces can perhaps be reassembled or perhaps be gifted and shared in a different form. And then now there's room to receive. What is this union energy saying? The union energy is saying that even in the brokenness, we are still whole. And part of breaking apart to come back together, part of the alchemy and the magic here is to stand stronger. Let me rephrase that. Is to be in deeper alignment with our authentic sovereignty. Because when things are in alignment, they don't fall apart, they become stronger. But when things are misaligned, they have to break apart so that they can be reassembled into what is in alignment. So, can you see that separation and ending and death and loss that we experience is all in the goal of deeper union with the I am within, is all for greater liberation of self, deeper experiencing of freedom. Union. I'm going to channel some energy to repair any fractures in your mind, heart, body energy. To receive, simply continue breathing in and say yes. Inhale, sealing all this in. Coming back, fully present in the here now. Thank you for receiving that transmission to recalibrate and integrate you into deeper wholeness. In closing this week of Mind Air, I have a message for you from the Power Deck. Commitment, South, red. Look at this beautiful image. Look at that beautiful image. Commitment. You need commitment to focus on your target, take aim, pull back the bow, and then shoot your arrow, even though you know you will hit the bullseye with every shot. This is the duality of enlightenment. To hit the bullseye requires total commitment of your spiritual and physical being, but it also requires total commitment to letting go, to simply um, walking down the path and through the gateway that leads to your true destiny. It is a process of gathering. You gather your emotions, your mental strength, and your abilities as you would gather sheep. It can be a long process, but your commitment gives you endurance. It is the next step after defining your act of power. Materialize your dreams and begin to live them. Build that magnificent dream lodge within you and then do so with total commitment. I absolutely love this message. In closing for this week, because this is the first week of the Soul Sanctuary Circle online offering. We just wrapped up week one, and the invitation is for you to really commit and show up for yourself. This is a space where we can hold accountability for self and each other, where you can be guided and witnessed and loved by me and other beautiful beings. And it's not going to cost you a whole lot of money. If all you can pay is 99 cents a month, thank you. The suggested is 44.44. Pay less, pay more. But most importantly, commit to yourself, beloved one. You want that life of your dreams? You can absolutely have it, but it's going to require some effort and some work. And I'm here to love you, encourage you, witness you, guide you, and celebrate you along the way. Thank you so much for being here today. Thank you so much for being here this week. I look forward to reading your comments and messages and shares. I look forward to continuing to grow in the space, my commitment to this space, right? This is also about my commitment to the space, my commitment to continue showing up, even with all the change that's happening in my life, continuing to stay present with my commitment to myself and to you all to show up in this space. So thank you again for being here. Have a very gentle and loving and nourishing day and the next few days ahead. And I will see you on Tuesday next week for Tarot Tuesday. I do those live on TikTok at this time. And the replay will be posted later in the day here in the member section. So join me live because I will do collective readings and personal card pulls if my energy allows. And week two, we're diving into the heart. So until we meet again, loving you.